So this first lick we're going to look at is from Tooth and Nail. This is a little bit of George Lynch's tapping, but what I want to look at this one for is the fact it's using something that's a big part of Lynch's sound, which is the use of the flat 5 or tritone interval. He'll do loads of riffs, you know, or he'll be playing, you know, he'll hit that interval quite a lot. He loves that kind of sound, you know, it's kind of evil interval. So what we're doing here is this Tooth and Nail's in E minor, and what we've got is this bit where it's going harmonically in the solo. So what Lynch is doing is he's taking like a C major triad and high E string here. So I've got 8th fret, the high E, 12th fret, the high E, and then 15th fret we're going to tap. You know, so you've got root, 3rd, 5th. But what he's doing is he's moving this major triad, descending down the strings a tritone at a time, or a flat 5. And this is this thing about diminished scale and harmony of diminished. You can take an idea, major or minor, whatever, but move it in kind of tritones, and you've basically got harmony from diminished. So you can take anything like that, you know, and then what he's going to do is move that down. So you, instead of doing 8, 12, 15, you've now got 7, 11, 14. Yeah, and then when you do the tritone jump here, so that was, you can think of the root note here. Here, the flat 5 interval when you're descending actually isn't back a fret, it's back 2 frets. So you're at the 5th fret here in the G string. So you're 5th fret, 9th fret, 12th, keeping that same distance. And then you get 4, 8, 11, and you get 3, 7, 10, and then last is 2, 6, 9. There's a bit of a stretch there. But the sequence he's actually tapping changes depending on what year he plays it, I think. On the recording, it's got a particular feel to it, and then live and later on he'll basically just have this idea but tap it differently, or double tap or whatever. I'll look at what's in the album though. What you're doing is you're actually starting without the tap, you're starting with the hammer on here. So you're going to do like 8, 12, pull off to 8, 12, 8, 12, 8, like that. Yeah, so it's almost like kind of a trill at this tempo, because this is a really fast tune. And then what you're doing is you're tapping, you know, before you get to that last 8 there. Yeah. When you start speeding it up, you've got that sort of thing. So the way I like to think about it is I'm tapping that 15 4 times. So this is like a 2-bar phrase, because of the kind of tempo of the tune, it's in kind of triplet 8ths. But I'm almost thinking about kind of trilling with this hand. Yeah, and then I take it down. And on the recording you can hear that you hear this little slide. So like the pinky may get into position here, but you can think of these, each string that's going to in turn, and your hand will kind of take care of that. So you've got the 8 and 12. So you can do little slides as I'm moving kind of between the strings, but it's not to concentrate in that area, it's basically concentrating each little tapping bit. So that's our first lick. It's a really simple idea of taking like a triad, tapping it, and just moving it down tritones. Next lick is this. So this is the lick from the solo from Unchained the Night, and I wanted to look at this because this is good use of Lynch's rapid fire kind of picking and little descending ideas. So the phrase he's actually playing here, again, this is another one that he plays it particularly way in the recording, and then live and later years he plays it in completely different notes, different positions, but the general vibe's kind of the same. So it's something to kind of take from this. It's the whole reason I look at these licks in these Master That Lick series is to be inspired by the licks, to take ideas from them. You don't have to play them exactly the way they are. But what he's doing here is almost like, this is in E minor, and he's got this phrase where we're doing a little kind of almost Paul Gilbert-esque, if you were doing this, a kind of picking exercise. I'm doing like a 7, 8, 10 in the B string, then a 7 in the high E string, and then 10, 8 in the B string. That's your little group of 6 notes. Now, I think, listening to this, it's really hard to tell, but I think what he might be doing is actually playing the 7, 8, 10 in the B strings legato, like a downstroke, and then picking the 7, 8, 10 on the E string and back to the B string. So you've got that kind of thing. You could pick it all as well. You know, kind of Paul Gilbert-esque, I guess. But you could try both and see what feels comfortable, just by looking at the way the Lynch is playing, and sometimes he'll do this. And Paul Gilbert does this as well, where you're combining legato with picking. So it gives the, you know, you get the fluidity of it, but you're also hearing like in the attack in certain notes. So that's what we're doing. So the sequence here is you've got that group of 6, and you're going to do was it 3 of them? Yeah, that's it. And then, just to make it a little bit trickier, you do your 7, 8, 10 hammer on, but instead of doing 7 in the high E string and then 10, 8 in the B string, you do 7 in the B string and then 10, 8. So you've got this. Yeah. So you just changes up the sequence with that note. The kind of the second of the group of 3 either starts with 7 in the high E string or 7 in the B string. So that kind of goes. Then he does 7, 8, or then our initial kind of group of 6. Then this new group of 6. And then 2 of the original group of 6. And then a new group of 6. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird sequence. This is why I was saying it's probably like one of the takes he did when he was recording the album, and in live he'll do something different. I've seen him play it here, play it here. You know, he just kind of changes it up, but the general idea is the same. So slowly that whole thing kind of goes. Yeah, all groups of 6. Yeah. Now, what we're going to do here is once we've done that, we have this really cool neoclassical kind of descending idea. So you've just done 7, 8, 10. Now you go 7, 5 on that B string. So this is the way I like to think about it is actually moving to the 5. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do is the sequence. I'm going to do 8, 5 on the B string, and then 7 in the B string, 7 in the G string. You can think of a group of 4 like that. Then I'm going to play 5 in the B string, 5 in the G, and then 7, 4 in the G. Yeah, so you're coming down this E minor. Yeah. Then what I'm going to do is 5 on the G, 7 in the D, 4 in the G, 5 in the D. Yeah. Then we have this kind of interesting bit where I do 7, 4 on the D, back to 7 on the D, and then 6 on that A string there, and then I end it off with 4, 5 in the D, and then 6 in the A string. And you can hear already that's a really interesting sounding note there. That's your kind of major 7 interval, and kind of a minor key. So you can either think of it as like a harmonic minor thing, or possibly the way the Lynch thinks, where he's thinking a lot of minor stuff and he adds in interesting notes like flat 5 and stuff. You might just be thinking that. So that whole sequence. Give a bit of vibrato. What you'll see, you know, if you see him play it live, particularly these days and even a couple of decades and stuff ago, he'll play a run that ends up down here. So it's a kind of similar run. He's just starting in different positions and slightly different kind of notes, but this is kind of what's going on in the recording there. So this is a really fast one. What you could do, take that like sequence, and speed it up just to get that kind of combo, and that will help with the first kind of picking sequence. And then this, when you're doing the descending, you know, you can practice that nice and slow, but you want to keep everything nice and light so you can get that kind of string cross thing in there. So next lick sounds like this. So this is a big old stretchy lick from the solo in My Dreams. So this is an E minor, and what Lynch is doing here is he's kind of got this really stretched kind of kind of pencil like minor kind of note thing here. And what we've got is my first finger's at the 12th fret, high E string. My middle finger's at the 15th fret, and then my fourth finger's going to be at the 19th fret there. That's a bit of a stretch. You know, Lynch has pretty big hands. He can do these big stretches. So when you're doing this, make sure your thumb is nice and low in the kind of neck area. It's hard to kind of see there, but I'm kind of low down, as you can see, so I can get that kind of stretch. And what you're going to be doing is a start with the 12, so it's like hammer on. You're doing a hammer and pull off 12 to 15. Then you're going to do hammer and pull off to the 19th. So once you've done that pull off, so it kind of goes. You know, so you're not picking it once you've done that, but you've just got this kind of tempo. Yeah, so to do it that sort of speed, you want to be really nice and relaxed, which is easier said than done when you've got this kind of big massive stretch and stuff on. So this is why you want to drop the thumb, keep everything very light and fluttery. Now if that wasn't bad enough, then what you're going to do is stretch up to the 20th fret in the next bar instead of the 19th. So that adds an extra, you know, what is that, about another centimetre stretch there. So when you're doing it, you might want to just adjust ever so slightly that way to get it. Watch out that you don't then adjust your targeting in your middle finger or miss this kind of 20th fret. And then you go back to the 19th fret again. Yeah, so that's that kind of first little kind of stretchy kind of legato bit. Then we have a picking run, which again, listening to the recording and seeing what he does kind of live, it changes again. The general idea though, I think I'll go through what he typically does live now compared to what's in the recording, but really you're doing like a run down. You know, it's like an E minor run up at the kind of 17th fret area. So if I look at the notes involved, that'd be 20, 19, 17 on the high E string, 20, 19, 17 on the B string, and you get 19, 17, 16 in the G, 19, 17, 16 in the D, and then you get 19th fret that A string, which is a kind of root note, that E. So what he tends to do, it's kind of like a rapid picking lick that's almost like a combination of tremolo picking and then a scalar run. So the first little bit, what you're going to do is slide up with the middle, the pinky, and then get to that 20th fret and kind of pick it. What you typically hear is like maybe 3 notes, but I don't think he's thinking particularly, I'm going to play 3 notes here. It's more like I'm picking really fast. The speed that he's picking a 6 triplet at is how you're picking that string. And what you're going to do is then do like 20, 19, 20, 19, 17 in the high E string, and then 20, 19, 17 in the B string. So you get that kind of sound. Yeah. Then really what we're going to do is do that same kind of picking pattern, but on the G and the D strings. And then you end it off. Typically, you know, Lynch might end in his 4th finger there, but it's the same sort of idea. Yeah, so the whole run kind of sounds like that. And that sequence on the D and G, you know, you're doing 19, 17, 19, 17, 16, and then 19, 17, 16, and then ending it there. So it's kind of like one of these kind of flourish runs that you'll hear, you know, that Lynch kind of likes, this kind of tremolo picking sort of thing. So I wouldn't worry too much about the here are the picking notes I must pick. It's that kind of vibe. Yeah, cool. Next lick sounds like this. So our next lick is from It's Not Love. This is really cool use of kind of like a pedal note idea and then a really cool tapping phrase, like scalar tapping phrase. So this is an A minor, and what Lynch starts off with here is this little classic little pedal note, classical guitar kind of, or neoclassical kind of guitar lick. So what I'm doing is I've got the A, it's my root note, 17th fret, the high E string. I'm going to do a hammer on 15 to 17, then I'm going to do 13 to 17, and then 12 to 17, Yeah, so you got that kind of pedal note. Then I'll do a 15th fret the B string and pick that and pick the 17th fret there. So that's your kind of first 8 notes. Then we have a little flourish. Oh, play it correctly. So what it sounds like here is he's doing a little, and this is a big part of Lynch's playing as well, these kind of little very quick hammer and pull off slides to add almost it's not like a classical thing, almost an oriental kind of vibe to things sometimes. But what you're going to be doing here is like a hammer and pull off, very quick, 13 to 15, and slide to 12. So it's that sort of speed. It's almost like a kind of flourish. Once you've done that, then I'm going to do hammer to 13, pull off back to 12, and then hammer at the 15th fret the B string there, and then end it by playing 14th fret the G string. Yeah, so that kind of goes. You play it like that. Yeah. So that you get that kind of vibe with the first part of it. Then we have our tapping lick. So what we're doing here is we're going to hammer on from nowhere, 10th fret on the G string there, and then hammer to the 14th fret. And I'm going to tap at that 17th fret there. Yeah. So you tap at that, pull off, slide to 9, hammer 10, 12, and then tap at the 16th fret. So it kind of goes. Well, you get that kind of vibe to it. And once you've done that pull off 12, 10, 9, and then what you hear is a little 12, 9 in the D string as he sets up the next part of it. So you're kind of playing the same tapping lick, but now in the D string. But you have that little. Then you do it, so you slide, you've just done 12, 9 pull off, slide 10, 14 tap, yeah, pull off, slide back 9, 10, 12, yeah, and then tap at the 16th fret, and then you do the usual, pull off, 12, 9, 10, 9, and then slide up to 10, tap 14th fret, and then end it by playing 7th fret of that D string root note. Yeah, so you kind of have that that sort of vibe. So when you speed it up, you get that kind of flow to it. Yeah. So that one's a tricky one timing wise and to break it down slowly, but you can think of the kind of flow of it when you're playing it. So there you go, guys, that's a really cool one. It's one of my favourite ones. Let's get stuck into our last lick. So let's end things off by looking at this lick from A Kiss of Death, from Back for the Attack. So I love this little phrase. It's not very long, the phrase we're going to look at, but the idea ties with the very first lick we looked at. What Lynch is doing here is he's taking basically like a triad, a major triad, and moving it up in flat fifth intervals or tritones. So what we're generally doing here, again, this is another one, we have something that's on the record and in live, you'll do different things, but the general core and idea of what's happening is the same. Is he's going to be playing, if you think of an E triad and a 2-string triad up at the 12th fret E string, so you've got a root note of 12th fret that E string, your major third is 11th fret the A string, and then the 14th fret the A string is your perfect fifth, E major. Then what you're going to do is take that and move it up a flat 5 every time. So if you imagine a flat 5, you'd be starting there, then 13th fret A string, then 14th fret D string, then 15th fret of that G string, and of course because of the strings being tuned the way they are, then you'd go to 17th fret B string. That's kind of your root notes. And they end up by going up like a minor third or another kind of diminished interval at the end there to the 22nd fret. So that's your general kind of structure to it. Yeah. The way he can actually plays it is he slides to the 12th fret the E string here. Then he does this, so he does like 12th fret E, 11th fret of the A. Then it feels like he's playing 12, 14 on the E and A string, and then 12th fret the D string. So it's just kind of a slightly interesting sequence to begin with. And then I play 15th fret that D string there. Yeah, so that's your kind of, that takes the E triad out of the way, and then you've got this. Yeah, so what he's doing there is he's got the 14th fret, the A string bar on the 13th fret, but that's fine. Yeah. Then what I'm going to be doing is basically playing 14th fret the D string, 13th fret the G, and then 16th fret of that G string. Pull off, and then slide up to the 15th fret the G string there, which is your start of your next little group. So you can think of these as little groups of 3. So you've kind of done this. That's how I'd think of that first bit. Then you've got slides for the next bit, and I play 15th fret. So I bar with the first finger there, 15th fret the B string. I kind of pick it and then do a pull off 18 to 15. So picking wise, I'm kind of doing like, I think economy picked this, so I do like a down, down, up. So that's a slide there, down, up. Then I play 17th fret the B string with the second finger, down. Then I'm doing 16th fret the high E, downstroke, then upstroke, 19th fret pull off. And the way it sounds in the record is he plays 19 again on the high E string, and then you slide 19 to 22, so you pick it. With a bit of vibrato at the end. What I've seen him do live is he'll do like hammer and pull off. He'll do various kind of permutations of it, but that's your kind of general idea. Yeah, and it's quite fast. So with this sort of thing, you can take these little bits, just play little triplets at that to get the right hand picking down, and then you can put the little pull off in it as well to change up the sequence, and that'll make it a little bit easier, kind of building it on stages like that. So there you go, guys. That's our 5 Dokken-era Lynch licks. There's kind of a different mixture of stuff in there, but hopefully there's some of the elements of Lynch's playing coming through some of those licks that I've kind of looked at. And of course, the whole point of this is try and incorporate this into your own playing. So some of the ideas that he's using, try and use them in your own playing, see how you go on with it. If you want to check out more master lick lessons that I've done, please check out the playlist. We've got other lessons up there with Gary Moore and Steve Vai and Guthy Govan or whatever. If you want access to the Soundslice tab for this, so you can kind of loop and pause and practice, if you want to kind of speed up practice and stuff with it, come on over to the Patreon. You've got access to that stuff there as well, plus a whole lot more lesson material and various other things there as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy those licks. Have fun. I'll see you soon.